Hello, users, and welcome to a hot new, emphasis on hot, episode of Above It All. And today I'm going to update you on the coronavirus. Remember how all the Trumpers go like, oh, it's only got a 0.2% mortality rate, man. So I ain't gonna die, man. As if it's like a binary. Oh, I'm gonna die, or I'm gonna be just fine. And there's no gray area, there's no middle area, right? These people, obviously, the anti-maskers, the hoax fuckers, they're just dumb. They are the downfall of this empire. And that's what's so embarrassing, is like, it wasn't mass uprisings that's going to tear down this empire. It's the empire itself not having done a good enough job teaching its citizens about germs that's going to be the final unraveling of this fucking stupid storybook that is the United States of America. So, I've got an article here that has been tracking what it does to the heart. Turns out, more than 3/4 of patients surveyed and studied have had permanent heart alterations, after surviving and recovering from COVID-19. Oh, but they're alive! They're not dead, right? Real quick, this is something we are going to be reading for the rest of our lives. And that's assuming there's no other massive pandemic that's going to happen, which, let's be honest, the right-wing fascistic governments all around the world that don't believe in germs, Bolsonaro, Donald Trump, like, if Donald Trump gets reelected, you might as well kiss your ass goodbye. You're better off moving to Vietnam or Cuba than living in this shithole fucking country, right? Like, this is the thing, is we are going to be reading about this for the rest of our lives. We are going to be 60, 70 years old. I'm 24, so keep that in mind. And we're going to read maybe once a week an article. Is going to be, yeah, I had coronavirus in 2021, and I couldn't ever taste food for the rest of my life. I couldn't ever have sex for the rest of my life because my heart would pop. If I got too stressed, I'd have a heart attack. Like, these are going to be stories that we are going to read when we're on our deathbeds because of the failure of Donald Trump and the entire world to deal with this. It's not just Trump's fault, it's the whole fucking planet. For this is capitalism's fault. Why else would people have hesitated to shut down their economies? Quote-unquote economies? Why else would they have hesitated to do this and that and the other thing? Why would they weigh, oh, well, maybe 1,000 people are going to die? Well, it's worth it to keep the economy going. This is a failed system. This pandemic has shown all across the world that capitalism is a disaster. It's a fucking failure. So with that being said, let's start reading the article. Well over half a year into the COVID-19 pandemic, experts are learning more about the virus than was initially believed to be only a respiratory illness. Over time, it's become clear that COVID-19 attacks far more than just the lungs, and new research indicates that it can leave lasting heart damage, even in the formerly healthy people who have since recovered from the initial symptoms. Two new studies, both from Germany, examined the effects of COVID-19 on the heart, with one focusing on recovered patients and the other on older victims of the virus. The first study, published Monday in JAMA Cardiology, found that 3/4 of recovered COVID-19 patients were left with structural changes to their heart, even 2 months later. Now, again, we don't know if these will be fixable. We don't know. Maybe it'll be fixable if you're in your 20s. Maybe we'll figure something out in 10, 15 years. But if you're 55 and this happens to you, you might not have died from COVID during the pandemic, but you might have a ticking time bomb in your chest. You might have a doomsday clock in your chest that you don't realize. The researchers examined cardiac MRIs from 100 recovered COVID-19 patients between the ages of 45 and 53 and compared them to the MRIs of similar people who did not contract the virus. Most of the COVID-19 patients have recovered at home, while 33 had to be hospitalized at some point in their illness. Of the 100 COVID-19 patients, 78% had structural changes to their hearts. Within that group, 76 had a biomarker that is typically found in patients who had a heart attack, and 60 had heart inflammation called myocarditis. The patients were all mostly healthy prior to their illness, the researcher said. The patients and ourselves were both surprised by the intensity and prevalence of these findings, and that they were still very pronounced even through the original illnesses, or even though the original illness had been by then already a few weeks away, study co-author Dr. Valentina Puntman, a consultant physician, that's a hard word to say for my dyslexic ass, cardiologist, and clinical pharmacologist at University Hospital Frankfurt in Germany told UPI. I should have just not highlighted that part. The second study, also published in JAMA Cardiology, looked at autopsy reports from 39 COVID-19 victims between 78 and 89 years old who died in the start of the pandemic. The researchers found that the virus infected the heart in 41% of the patients. We see signs of viral replication in those that are heavily infected, study co-author Dirk Westerman, a cardiologist at the University Heart and Vascular Centre, yeah, that's right, Centre, in Hamburg, told Stat, "We don't know the long-term consequences of the changes in gene expression yet. I know from other diseases that it's obviously not good to have the increased levels of inflammation." And the rest of it is just talking about baseball, which I don't give a fuck. Again, I've been on this beat for a while now. This isn't just, I'm young, I won't die. I won't die. I'm gonna make some vitamin C. I ain't gonna die. It's not about dying. It's about ruining the rest of your life. If I get corona, bruh. It gonna stop me from partying, bruh. Like, yeah, you sacrificed decades of parties, right? A century, perhaps, of parties, because you wanted to have fun in the summer or spring of 2020? Egg on your face, motherfucker. There's this story I'm going to cover later. Louis Gohmert, congressman, owned. Got corona. My corona. These people are fucking freak shows in this country and all across the world for letting this happen. This is a disaster that is mostly, if not solely, attributable to capitalism. If we had any form of social safety net, globally speaking, every country has their own system, and some countries performed pretty well, but most did not, because a lot of countries have been ravaged and destroyed and desecrated by the capitalist global hegemons like Europe and the United States and Canada. And these countries, like in USA, are decimated by a fascistic Christian fundamentalist loser who's not even really Christian but likes to pretend he is on TV, who just didn't believe in germs. You have Boris Johnson in England saying, oh, we'll just go for herd immunity. And then as soon as the virus started to infect more and more people, even himself, then they were like, oh shit, this was a bad idea. All across the globe, countries are failing, and it's because of capitalism. If we had a functioning governing system of governance, perhaps, we would have stayed home. We would have been fine. We would have said, all right, we'll take a couple months off from social gatherings, and then everything will be back to normal. In the United States of America, if people wore masks, if 80+% of Americans wore masks, the virus would be gone in 6 weeks. Now, why didn't we do this in February? I don't know. Why didn't we do this in March? I don't know. Why didn't we do this in April? I don't know. Why didn't we do this in May? I don't know. Why didn't we do this in June? I don't know. July's almost over, and it still hasn't happened yet. There's no national mask mandate, and Americans are too stupid to know what they're doing. I wish I could answer your questions. I wish I knew more. All I know is that this is a disaster, and we are going to be hearing about this disaster for the rest of our lives. Thank you for watching, everybody. You have to share, not this video. I don't care about you sharing this video. Go to the description, click the article, send it to your friends on whatever social media platform you have. If you have a family member that's an anti-masker, send them this article. You know, maybe it won't flick their switch in their brain from stupid, low IQ, garbage propagandist moron to stupid fucking low IQ loser propagandist moron with like 2 extra IQ points that believes in germs. But it might do something. Thank you for watching. Y'all be safe out there.